Hello and welcome to this week's look at the world of action and stunts on film and television. We are back on television this week after a brief burst with television last week and Chips, of course. And we're going to be looking at, I think, a great show. It's very underrated. And as soon as I say the name of it, there's going to be a whole bunch of you who are going to go, oh no. And a whole bunch of you will go, yes! And I suspect that those people going, yeah, will be in a minority. I suspect that the naysayers will outweigh that waft of positivity. But the show is T.J. Hooker. Started in 1982, ran till 86, I want to say. And of course starred William Shatner. William Shatner of James T. Kirk Star Trek fame, who is, I read his autobiography not too long ago. He's way more than just James T. Kirk of Star Trek fame, but is a fascinating character and I think a fascinating actor, although he's never given real opportunity to push the boundaries of acting and give it the beans. And there are a couple of shows, the odd episode here or there, and the odd film role where he is allowed to do that. And I think part of the remit of this show, of T.J. Hooker, was that he was allowed to push those boundaries a bit more. So Hooker, the character, became much bigger than the show had ever anticipated, because originally it was going to be called something else. But his character of Hooker was the sort of the linchpin that kept everything together, and his character was bigger and brasher maybe than some of the others. So consequently, he was a training guy. He was training new recruits to the LCPD, the Los Angeles County Police Department, to become police officers. He was undercover for a long period of time. He was playing clothes for a long period of time, and then after a bank robbery and one of his colleagues was killed, he decided that the only way to really understand police work once again was to go back to being in uniform, which is the development of the show, and that's how it started. It's a cop drama. We had The Bill over here about the same sort of time. Bobby's pounding the beat and dealing with issues about car theft and glue sniffing and various other bits and pieces. Whereas the uniformed officers of the LCPD, they were dealing with murder. They were dealing with carjackings. They were dealing with robberies, all sorts of bits and pieces. And 9 times out of 10, if you watch the show, they were always the ones that got the deal done. They didn't necessarily need assistance from the plainclothes brigade or the SWAT lot, but they did from time to time. But 9 times out of 10, it was TJ himself, Hooker, that would do the deed and get everything done. The action on the show I thought was great. R.A. Rondell was the coordinator. Makes a couple of appearances in shows, as many stunt performers do as villains and bits and pieces. But they do push the boundaries of believability in certain cases. And some of the clips that I've got to show you will give you an example of that, whereby you can see, really? That just seems very odd that they would do that. But that was the nature of the show. Shatner also wanted to utilize the baton that is being used, the truncheon as we used over here in the UK, but I think it was called a nightstick or a baton over there. It was like a sort of T shape and had a piece out the top, and you could rotate it around your arm. And he uses it in a whole bunch of very interesting ways when you look at some of the fights that we're looking here. But that was one of his inputs in the show, that he wanted to really utilize the fact that not every time a policeman turns up that they draw their gun and then shoot the villain. Sometimes they have to fight them. It's hand-to-hand combat, or they're going to be using these things that they've been issued with. So there was a lot of that going on. Shatner, of course, directed a bunch and has huge experience, of course, of directing motion pictures as well. And I think it's a great show. I really enjoyed it. Always did. It was on a Saturday, maybe a Friday night at first, Saturday night, then later on. And it was something that we as a family would sit down and watch because we all enjoyed these type of things. We liked Bill Shatner. When he was in Star Trek, wasn't the biggest Star Trek fan, but loved the movies. So I was always in that respect. So yeah, enjoyed this show very much. There's a couple of nice little things to have a look at here, and there's some car turnovers and some bits and pieces, and also some horse work. And Bill Shatner, not afraid of horses. In fact, a very, very decent horseman indeed, has his own ranch. In fact, I think he may have bred horses at some point. So we'll have a look at him in the saddle as well. Here are a bunch of clips from the show T.J. Hooker. Maybe this will whet your appetite to go and have a butcher's at it somewhere. There's lots of full episodes on YouTube if you feel the urge to have a look. And it goes like this. So let's look above and beyond. And here's a couple of examples of Mr. Hooker. Officer Hooker going above and beyond. Your average police chase here, of course, down to the docks and down to the marina, and your man speeds off in a very powerful boat. Hooker then needs some assistance along the way. He needs a chopper. As you do, and in comes one, almost on cue, just like it's a TV show, dropping out of a clear blue sky and landing just in front of those beautiful boats and marinas. Nice little crane shot there, by the way. Casually walking out to the chopper because, the speedboat's in no hurry and they're going to catch him, whatever. And a nice little crane shot on the way up again. Crane goes up, chopper goes up, and then they get to full extent and the thing. Very nice that. I think that's some nice little shots going on from a TV perspective. But as we fly away, we note that the speedboat is in full tilt, crashing across the water. There we are, look. And so evidently what's going to happen here is that the police officer, and this is what I've never really understood about this show, is that this is why I'm calling it this particular section above and beyond. He's going above and beyond what is required. 9 times out of 10, they would have a special unit involved, but no, not here. Here, they go and they pick up your average run-of-the-mill police officer, which Hooker is, and they pick him up in the chopper and they fly after your man in the speedboat, and then they get fired upon because that's not great. Also, there's a window missing at the back of this thing, which I've never really understood that before. If anybody understands, I know there's a couple of my friends out there who are big chopper fans, helicopter fans. If you could just let me know what that cutout is in the window. It's like there should be a window there and there isn't, and it's been taken out for a reason. Could it be a camera position? That's there's obviously should be glass there. So should that normally be a camera position? I mean, it enables Hooker to climb out without opening the door. That's very clearly the option in this instance, but I wonder, because it's not the same the other side. Jumping down, bit of a brawl, under control now, of course. Look, bang, kicking from one to the other. And of course, Shatner doing a great deal of his own fight work. The long shots are very clearly the stunt doubles. And there he is, he's got him. Now he gets into the seat and peels away back towards dry land, followed by yon chopper. Good shot that as well, followed by the helicopter and the camera helicopter from over here. Lovely job. This one, getting kicked down the stairs. Now, hello girls. See, he's recently single again. Oh, look. It's Branscombe Richmond, the stuntman who crops up all over the place whenever they need anybody to blend into some sort of ethnic situation. Branscombe is presumably the first man on the phone call, gets shoved and all the way down the stairs to the bottom. Tricky fall, but nicely done. The black and whites, this is a nice foot chase here. No sooner has the black and white turned up and Hooker's away on foot. Now, one thing that has to be said about William Shatner, this is 1982. Just brief maths, but I think he's 54. I'm 53, so he's about the same age as I would have been. And he's really agile. So there's a guy running away. He has a particular running style as well, so it's very clearly him. Again, that's very clearly Shatner. No problem with that at all. There is a shot a bit later on which I've analysed, which is when he finally gets hold of the guy he's chasing after. But everything in this is him. That's him pumping away there. There's a separate camera section. They pull away to a slightly further camera section out here, camera shot. That's not him, so they've started using the double for some of these longer shots. That's close up. And as it comes together slowly but surely, the gap gets less. He comes running in and out of the trees. This was in the titles at one point, I seem to remember. But he's still pumping those arms like... Now, that's not him. That's the double. He gets up on the table and up and down the other side. On this particular occasion, that looks very much like Greg Barnett, who is doing the doubling for Mr. Shatner as he brings him down to the ground. It was a fabulous head of hair, Greg Barnett. And down onto the floor. Oh, the guy produces a knife. Oof. Now, here's another example of Shatner at full tilt. Not the biggest stride pattern, but he does cover a lot of ground. Your man there in front, very clearly, bigger stride and smaller strides, but very, very powerful. Gets to the edge here to go, grab hold of him and into the water. Look at that. Sensational. A little bit closer to see. Again, just changing. Very clever there as well, because he managed to get hold of the guy and twist him around before they hit the water. And again, Shatner running. Shatner runs. He does run for real too. Very warm in Hollywood at that time. Look, so jumping down. We'll have a look at this again because he's managed. This is they're bulldogs, is all they are. That's what they're doing. It's an old-fashioned form of bulldogging. He comes down. He jumps. Bang! Grabs him to the floor. That's not Greg Barnett. That's a very interesting hairdo. That the wig. And then he pulls out a random piece. Your man's got a knife on him. Fighting a priest here. Look. Oof. Bang. Bang, bang. And again, I'm not entirely convinced. I mean, this is a fairly well worked through fight, but the doubles probably did it, and then Shatner's clearly doing it with the stunt double at the end here. This one is a really nice example of a near miss. A near miss, it's all timing. You have to time your movement away from the vehicle, okay? He points, he shoots, gets a couple of shots off. Is it 3 shots off? Gets the third one off and just manages to get out of the way. And look at how close he manages to get to that trailing leg. That's close. And that vehicle's really moving. So he's done that very, very cleverly. And people have been caught for less at less speed, you know. Nice little car chase, presumably up and around the back end of the Hollywood Hills, California. Now they're side by side. There's going to be a bit of argy-bargy, as traditionally happens when you get 2 cars next to each other, particularly if one... There we go, the police car started it. Bump, he pushes back. Bump, pushes the other way. Bang, and then there's a little ramp up the end. There might be a little kicker on the end of it just to turn it over. That might be a ramp or a pipe. Probably a pipe, judging by the way in which the vehicle then lands. Onto there. And then down a little embankment to the other side. But it's a nice little roll. Can we see the little roll cage inside there? When it comes down? Yeah, you can see it's just holding the roof section together. And here's an interesting situation. So your man goes bang out through the window. Right? He had no idea what was out there. Hooker then, she says, he's out the window. And out he goes. And he goes out the window. And he doesn't know what's out there either. But look, there's a truck with pads on the back of it, which I thought was a skip originally. And then here's this used to happen quite often. He was playing baseball, hence his police jersey that he's wearing. Where's he going to go? Up on the bonnet. Up he goes. Grabs hold. And then the brakes on. And then he gets up on his knees. And then a little dismount. Just looks over his shoulder to see where he's going. Manages to catch the number plate before he leaves. Here's the horse racing one. Now, Shatner, good horseman, right? And it looks in certain sections like this horse is really getting away from him. But the reason that he's not pulling too hard on this horse is because this is a falling horse. You can't pull too clever on that rein because the horse is trained to fall. And here comes the fall. The horse on the outside nudges in and he's going to be able to pull that other rein round, down he comes. Job's a good one. Absolutely staggering. There you go. Good stuff. That I love the idea that he bursts into the room. The villain has gone out through the window. The villain's gone out through the window, and Heather Locklear's character says he went that way through the window, and he just dives through the window. Doesn't look to see what's below the window. Simply dives out and hopes for the best. And luckily, there was a truck down there with pads on it. What are the odds? So that was quite nice. And good use. And good use of camera angles. You know, the couple of cameras, as we were talking about in the podcast, you get a couple of cameras covering the whole thing. When he's dragging somebody off the top of that pier, for instance, he's got hold of him. And then there's a lower shot that drags them into the water. All of those sort of bits and pieces. Still with the ramp rolls. You know, they haven't got a pipe in there at that point, but they've got a ramp roll of a car going over and some nice fights. And that near miss, that is a very, very near miss when you look at it. I mean, he's not got that much space to play with. But that was the series. It's a great show. 6 seasons, maybe 7 seasons. If you haven't checked it out, do so on YouTube. I say there's lots of episodes available in full for you to watch there. And, of course, if you want to just check out the action, go and check our friend TV Stunter on YouTube, who has also done some fabulous work there as well. So thank you to him for use of his clips, and thank you to you for watching once again. We'll do it all again next week. Click the Linktree link in the little notes field down the bottom there if you want to catch up with all of our social medias. And until next time, it's bye for now.